I'm reading for you a story on my jaw online, and it's about a petition. It's dated the 12th of February 2025, and it's titled, Ghanaian Students Abroad Petition President Mahama for Urgent Financial Support. I suppose this is no news because you would have seen this over and again. A group of Ghanaian students studying abroad under the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat scheme has formally petitioned President John Mahama to urgently address financial challenges that are threatening their academic pursuits and well-being. The petition, signed by students from various universities in the United Kingdom, indicates several pressing concerns, including unpaid stipends, accommodation difficulties, and the cancellation of bilateral agreements between the scheme or the Secretariat and the universities. The students emphasized that these issues have resulted in immense stress, financial hardship, and even potential dropout risk. According to the petition, many students have not received their stipends for several months, making it difficult to afford basic necessities such as food, transportation, and rent. Some have reportedly been threatened with eviction due to unpaid accommodation fees. Additionally, the students claim that delays in tuition payments have led to the cancellation of agreements between the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat and several universities. Like I said, this is certainly not new. But why does it recur? Why has it become a ritual? In the face of a law regulating the process, policies of the states regulating the process, why the chaos with the Ghana Scholarship Scheme? Stay with us. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. And as we do it here on the law platform, we will discuss the law, the policy. We're talking to a number of students who are victims of this unfortunate development, who live and study abroad. That's the purpose they have traveled there. We hear some of their stories. We hear some of the victims tell us their circumstances. And as I said, there's a petition to the president to do something urgent about this. Before the elections, you would have seen me asking a question of Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia at his presser about the same situation, where we got to know that some students were actually selling their sperms to be able to survive, and some getting into all sorts of odd and immoral jobs just to survive. How does a country pretend to sponsor its human resource to gain more knowledge, to come and assist the country, treat them that way? At the time, the Vice President's intervention led to mobilization of some hefty sum in the millions to support the students defray some of their debts. Some actually lost their studentship. And since then, I have had a number of such victims approaching me. So let's get on. And we have seen your comments on social media, your questions, and your interest on this subject. In due course, normally as we do, we'll open the phone lines and let you join in. Let's be, as it were, progressive, and let's be critical but progressive about what we want to do. Now, let me introduce my guests, and these are students on scholarship who have to bear with this kind of situation. Pius Lord Apre is of the University of Kent. Prince Komla Bansa is with the University of Lincoln. Kwadwo Owusu Efrifa is at Brunel, University of London, and Antoinette Mensah is at the University of Northampton, England. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for making time to join me this afternoon on The Law.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Great, great, great. By way of testing all of you, your mics, and to be sure that you are on live, can I get a response from all of you?
Yeah.
Great.
Yes.
How about Antoinette?
Yes. Hi.
Antoinette, we can't hear you.
Her phone is muted.
Okay.
Okay.
Great, we can hear you now. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have assembled the laws regarding this subject matter. We have also gone to look at the various proposals that were made, particularly by the two major political parties, the NDC and the NPP. But let's hold on with that for now and get to hear the students. Then we will get into that and share what we know. So they say ladies first, and I think it's just appropriate. Antoinette, we have seen the petition under the hand of about 4 or 5 students that has gone to the presidency. And this will not be the first time, particularly with, is it Pius? Yeah, leading sane. When in the last regime, a similar thing was done. And I had cause to discuss it on Newsfile. And I got people like Dr. Who are also outside of the country expressing concern about how they know the circumstances of Ghanaian students abroad and how bad it is. Antoinette, tell us, why has it become necessary to send a petition to the presidency?
Okay, Samson, I think Antoinette couldn't come, so let me make a quick correction here. I'm Ernestina Chwema.
You are Ernestina?
Chwema.
Okay, Ernestina, go on.
MA student, University of Nottingham.
All right.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Samson, there are a lot of challenges that students are facing as far as the scholarship is concerned. But I'll give it as according to points. And then the first one is our predecessors, that's our seniors who completed last year. Their certificates are being held because of unpaid school fees. Now our school has given us up to 14th of April that if our fees are not being paid by our sponsors, we'll be vacated from the school. And then actions will be taken by giving us to Home Office to deal with us. This is not all. The second aspect is some of our students have been vacated from their hostels and then from their private landlord because they can't pay for their rent. Another instance that also happened was just last week, 8 of our students, that's my mates, are using one person's documents to work because the 20 hours given us to work, we are not due. We are not getting jobs to do with that 20 hours that is given us. So they went out to look for somebody's document to work with for survival. And fortunately or unfortunately for them, one person went, it's like they've shared the shift according to the number of people that have been working there. So person A will go today, then person B will go tomorrow. Due to this, it's like those that they are working with have rectified that there are different people coming in one name. So they reported the incident to the higher authorities. And then one of them that is closer to me went to work. That was last week, Thursday, and then he was called by the HR to give his details, account details. Sometimes we all know that if you are working with somebody's document, there's no way you will know the person's account details. So he was forced to tell the truth. And in that aspect, truth with evidence, anything he says, he has to give evidence. So he told them that as it stands, when he was coming to work, he has only Gary in his bag. And they asked him to show it, and he showed it, and it was true. So he gave them the letter that was given to us by the university, that it is true this, that he wants to work. He's not a lazy person. He came here to study on scholarship, but due to unpaid fees and then unpaid stipends, that has led him into this situation. And it is true that he's not the only person going through that. There are a number of students using that same document to work, as they've said, but he is pleading on their behalf to forgive him, because it is not what? Intentional. It is out of hardship that he is doing that. He knows that it is not good, but he cannot die in somebody's land. So because of this, they brought him back to campus and then warned him that he shouldn't do that. Samson students here are suffering. We go to food banks for food, to the extent of going to charity homes for winter jackets. Students are not even getting TNT to go for lectures because of the hardship that we are going through. If men are going through this situation, you can imagine what the ladies will also go through. There are a lot of challenges that we are facing here as far as our education is concerned. It has even given us trauma. You hear that one person is sick. What is it? They said the person is anemic, because one cannot afford eating the 3 square meal. We are suffering here. So we are not going far. We are just pleading with the government to just come to our aid, because there's a lot going on here. We can't say everything, but going through hell here.
Okay, Enesina, thank you. Hold your thoughts there. I'll return to you. Very disturbing. Let me go to Kwadwo Owusu Afrifa. You are at Brunel. Now, do you have a different story? And when Enesina talks about students vacating, being handed to the authorities, going to food banks, relying on one person's documentation, a number to attempt to work so you can take care of yourselves, try explain that to us, if that's a circumstance you also are familiar with.
Samson, thank you for this opportunity. I think the challenges are not very different from across the universities here in the UK. And for those of us in London, you know, it is extremely difficult because of the living conditions and because of the cost of living. Basically, it's a bit hard than in the Midlands and in the North. Regarding the challenges Enesina has enumerated, well, it's quite heartbreaking to hear some of these stories that our compatriots are going through. We have had a number of similar incidences on campus, but the challenge is that you do not have students that have been very bold enough to present themselves and state the real situation forward, unlike we've had our sister coming up with the real issues. We've had a lot of administrative challenges regarding MOUs and tuitions and scholarships, stipends, and a whole number of issues. Fortunately, I have not encountered a number of our students on the master's program, PhD, that have had to resort to food banks and charity shops for winter clothing. But it is not far-fetched, and a number of students are really experiencing that.
You say it is not far-fetched, the harrowing accounts that we are hearing from Enestina.
Yes, yes.
And do you, you know, as it were, are you able to say that such encounters, okay, let's come to you. When you mention administrative difficulties and the rest, break it down. What translates into administrative difficulties you encounter?
So one relates to the bilateral the bilateral agreements between the GSS and the universities, and you realize that a number of the agreements have either been suspended, cancelled, or on the verge of being disrupted. And when that happens, it means that the liabilities are transferred directly from the GSS to the students. And so you have a number of our colleagues being locked out of university systems, a number of our colleagues not being able to access basic university IT services. Like Ernestina said, you have a number of students being locked out of the systems. And so when it's time to
what does it mean? What does it mean for a student to be locked out of a system?
So it is a centralized system. So when you are locked out of a system, it means that you can't access library resources, you can't access your school's portal that enables you to access, let's say, your lectures, your lecture notes, basic academic resources, a whole lot. It's like your passport to the school has been taken. And so you are more or less on your own. You basically exist as a physical student in a human body. If I'm trying to be a bit more expand. Yes. And so instead of having a body that speaks on behalf of students or that acts as a mediator between the students' body and the universities, you find because the liabilities are transferred to the students, now the universities engage the students directly, and then you are being given notices to vacate or pay up outstanding bills in your accommodation.
When Ernestina talks about students being given a deadline or an ultimatum of up to April, otherwise they will be locked out of the system, does that apply across board?
It's once you are in the university and you are coming on a particular scholarship, if the scholarship is affected, that means everybody in stream is affected, except probably you have a differentiating circumstance. Otherwise, everybody is affected once you are within.
It's not relative to particular universities?
Well, I can't speak for all the universities because I don't know what arrangements are with the universities. But from what I know from my universities and from colleagues' universities, once you are locked out of the system, that's it. It will take the university to bring you back on when your liabilities are rectified.
Okay, hold on for me. Komla Bansa, University of Lincoln. What does it, this bilateral agreements over the scholarships that also Afrifa speaks to, basically what is it about? What does it say?
Okay, Samson, thank you very much for the opportunity. I must say that I'm very impressed that you have actually taken up these issues. And I've seen over the period that even from the previous government, you have always, highlight the challenges that, we are facing as students being sponsored by the Ghanaian authorities. So I must commend you. Basically, when we speak of the bilateral agreement, it's not across all universities. So this is a specific universities that have entered into some sort of agreement between the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat in Ghana here and then the university. So let's say, for instance, the University of Brunel says that, okay, we can come into some sort of agreement. You can give us X number of students, and then the students can come to study here in the UK. And then after they finish with their courses, these X, Y, and Z, but they'll give them a particular period where they'll say that, okay, we know that the Ghanaian government has a challenge in terms of remitting the fees back to the schools. And so we'll give you a grace period to be able to pay this amount. I must say that this sort of agreement, is not really covering all the universities. And so for those schools that don't have those agreements, are actually in a very big problem. So in my school, for instance, University of Lincoln, we do not have that kind of agreement with the GSS. And so if, for instance, the GSS defaulted, on the payment of the school fees, outrightly the university has every right to block you out, and then you probably will have to go and find your own money to be able to pay for the fees that are owed. So the bilateral agreement, yes, it existed, but not across all the other universities.
Okay. Prince Pius Lord Apre, thanks for joining us again this time. He's joining from the University of Kent. Now, tell us, engaging you much earlier, before the elections, when things became really hard, and we received complaints from students who had actually been locked out. Some had been reported to the authorities, and some were being marched out of, the country where they were studying. What do you know to be the typical circumstance of students who are not receiving what they are supposed to receive as part of the scholarship?
Thank you, Samson, for having me again. So, in fact, the issues are not so different from what my other colleagues have also enumerated. Okay, I mean, we've summarized everything, and it's heartbreaking, but there's nothing we can do about this for now. So when you engaged me last year, I mean, the old regime. So we're fortunate the government came to our aid. So they paid the tuition fees for all students abroad, and then we were paid 2 months of stipends across board. I mean, with whatever was left. That was it. So now, I mean, we've not heard anything again. Of course, there's been a change in the government. So maybe the new government, we're only appealing to the new government to step in, I mean, and come to our aid. And so
at the time in December of 2024, there were students who had not received their stipend for over 30 plus months.
Yeah, over 25, 26, 30, 24. It depends on, I mean, like, we have varying, I don't know why that is the case, but then we have some who have been received for 21, some 22, some 23, some 24. As to how it happened, that one nobody can tell. Yes, so even as we speak, last week, because I kind of happened to be the mouthpiece, sort of. So a lot of students actually contacted me. 2 guys called me last week, and they were complaining that they've been locked out of the university system because even though we were paid our tuition last year, they were not. I mean, their tuition was not paid. So they've been blocked and everything. And they were really. So I've been put it on our platform and we started discussing it. Later he called me that somebody from the embassy who's on the platform has contacted him. And so they were talking, they were trying to resolve it. I was like, fine. So it's the problems are there. For instance, I was supposed to have done my Viva before December, but because my tuition delayed, for instance, they had to reschedule everything. So I was supposed to have actually graduated in December. But now I have to wait till August, September, October. I'm not even sure as we speak. So that is how bad things have, some of these things have, caused us. Yes. And then the accommodation issue, for instance, about 3-4 months ago, I was almost kicked out of my house. I was just fortunate that I have, a landlady who is a Ghanaian. Okay, I attend church with. And so, she's a mother. She can't actually throw me out of the house. So she didn't have any choice but to. And I know for a fact what my inability to pay my rent has affected, what it has done to her. Because she's paying mortgage, you understand? And at the end of the month, this woman can't pay her mortgage, and she's almost, at a point, she was almost losing the house. And it was because of me, because, of course, other people were paying, you were not paying yours. You understand? So it was really difficult for her, and it's difficult. But we're only pleading with the government to come to our aid.
So before we go to the petition specific that you have sent to the president, can we tell, like, those who are owing tuition, is it the same for everybody? Those who are owing accommodation, is it the same for everybody? Like, how many months arrears people are in the manner that you are able to tell, for example, that stipends have not been paid for 20 months and upwards. Are you able to give us an idea?
Honestly, we can't give you the general idea because there are some stories. Oh, some people have been paid, some rumors. I mean, we don't have any, evidence, so we can't say it's the case. But then some people have been paid, some people have not been paid on the side and all that. So you can't tell because I know people who have not been paid for less than 20 months, some 30 months. So why is that the situation? So probably an audit, okay, of the secretariat can be able to tell exactly how much each person is owed, and then based on that, we can move forward. So I think it's an audit that can help us get that information. We, at this side, can't tell exactly. In fact, people are even scared to talk about some of these things for some obvious reasons, which I wouldn't want to go there, But the truth is that an audit, it's only an audit, a forensic audit of the secretariat that can help us be able to tell how many people are owed what amount of money. And then from there, we can.
Right. You in your petition, you ask for settlement of outstanding stipend and tuition fee arrears. Because you are coalescing and getting to organize yourselves together, do you have an idea what it will cost the state? How much is required?
Samson, this question is very, like I said, honestly, we can't tell how much it would cost the state. Because, like I said, we are not sure exactly how much each person is owed. In fact, I'm sure if we should do a count here on this platform now, Kojo, Ernestina, Prince, myself, I'm sure we'll have different number of months. So you can imagine the whole students, the total student body. And so, like I said, maybe proper auditing would have to be done. And then, the report can show that, oh, okay, in the case of Pius, he's owed, let's say, 20 months. In the case of Prince, maybe he's owed 50 months. In the case of this person, he's owed this. Then we can go forward. So if you ask me that, the total, honestly, I can't.
Do we have a sense? Do we have a sense of the student? Do you have a sense of the student population who are on scholarship abroad?
That's what that was what I was going to talk about. So we have different platforms. For the PhDs, we have our platform. I may have to check and probably feed you the information later. We have a platform for the PhDs, platform for the master students. And recently I got to know they were undergraduate students. So they also definitely will have their platform. You understand? And then we are not only talking for students in the UK. We have our brothers and sisters who are in the States, some in other European countries who are going through. Some of them call me, some of them text me. I wonder how they get my number. Some of them actually look for me on Facebook. They'll just send me private. Somebody from Barbados, contacted me. You understand? So the total number.
Like I said earlier, some have reached out to me privately. Those who are being thrown out, some have reached out to me privately. And I've seen responses from the Secretariat, which simply is not encouraging. Some of the times it's just asking the people are in dire need and they have timelines to meet. And they are being told that it is being processed. And there's no idea as to the timelines within which their tuition fees or stipends will be processed. Now, before I move on from you and bring on your colleagues again, and then we get to go to open up for your other friends across the globe to join us. And we are putting the Zoom details over there so that people can join us. Tell me that these stories are not true, that young men who find themselves under scholarship out of the country, under some of these circumstances, some of them are having to do a number of things, unspeakable things. Ladies are also doing some other stuff. just so they can survive. Tell me some of these stories are not true.
I wouldn't say they are not true. So I will get you the link. I think it was one of your sister stations, like Kesman or so. 2 students from University of Nottingham University. They actually had an interview with them somewhere last year. And they mentioned, in fact, they have receipts. One of them forwarded some of the receipts to me. That, look, this is what people are doing.
Doing what?
Okay, they wanted to join, but because of the number and the time, that's why they couldn't. I'm sure they would definitely call in. You understand? And so that is what, and like Nestina said, I mean, can imagine using fake documents. I mean, that's impersonation to work. The gentleman who found himself in that situation was just lucky that he wasn't deported. Because this one is an outright criminal. I mean, you understand? And so you had the opportunity to come and study here. And unfortunately, you would involve yourself in such a thing and then you'll be deported. You lose, such a big opportunity.
Why will a student on a scholarship program resort to selling their sperm?
Because you can't survive. I mean, you need to eat. You need to pay your bills. You need to raise money for conferences. You need to, money, this country, you don't know anybody here. You don't have families here. So it is a stipend you depend on. I hope you understand. That is about a little over £1,000. Rent alone is taking about 600, 700 pounds. How much is left? And even with that small money, it's not being paid. But you need to survive.
Okay.
Okay, you need to survive. And so people will do anything at all to survive.
Let me go back to Ernestina. Ernestina, thank you very much. And as I listened to you, I was heartbroken. And I needed to move away from you because I was really feeling really bad about it. Who have you contacted and what are you being told?
Okay, we contacted the well-being officer in our school to ask of what is going on because she has been giving us information concerning our unpaid fees. So we went to her personally and she told us that the information that they are getting from GSS is not encouraging. And just last 2 weeks, an invitation was given to them that they should come for us to have a meeting. And nobody showed up. So this is telling us that it's like we have been brought here to come and suffer. So we have to struggle before we can also survive here. So we've gone forward to the well-being in terms of asking of what is going on, the way forward, and then what will happen next. And this is what she's telling us, that the result that is coming from GSS is not encouraging. That is what she keeps on telling us. So we don't know when and then how this thing is going to affect us as far as a date is given to us to be paid. Like a date has been given to us that our fees should be paid. So now our concern is the government should just come into our aid and then help us because a date has been given to us. And then we can't afford to pay our fees on our own.
Have your fees accumulated?
Yes, they are accumulated. Since we came, I think we came last year, September, nothing has been paid. No stipend, no fees. So survival of the fittest. And we are in a strange land where we don't know anybody. So we survive with the little that we can afford. And how many of us can afford? People are calling family members from Ghana. We can all imagine how much cedis can be changed into pounds. Even if your family members are willing to help, how much will they even give you that will help you in your studies?
So you have experienced your colleagues, or as it were, former colleagues, suffering, vacationing, and being driven out of the country. So you are scared. Is that what is going on?
Yeah. Yes, we are really scared. We are really scared. We are scared. For scared, we are really scared. Because we don't know the next action that will be taken against us.
Okay, let me go back to Kwejo Owusu-Efrifa and Komla Bansa very briefly. How are you getting around the problem that you face as far as your tuition, your stipend, your accommodation issues are concerned? How are you getting around it? Could you start with you?
Yes, Samson. Sorry, thank you once again. So it's a constricted problem. And so I need to get some 20 hours of work to do to be able to survive. But that is supposed to provide a supplementary income. And so if that becomes your main source of income to survive, then it means you have very limited degree of freedom to pursue other advances in your academics. And so it puts you in a very difficult situation.
Prince?
Yes, Samson. So as my colleagues have said, basically this situation is quite very, very fluid. It's a fluid situation and it's becoming a very serious case. For some of us who have been in the UK for quite, a good number of time, because I did my master's in the UK and a PhD, we have some level of experience. So what we are basically doing is, and I'm also the international student ambassador, and also I give some orientation to new PhD students and all that. So I'm able to give them some sort of advice as to how, they can go about some of these things. It's a big challenge. Sometimes we have to get the MPs involved, the local MPs, because at a point in time, the international officer advised me that, look, we have had a lot of report about the non-payment of fees of students, and that the best way she can advise me is that I should write to the MP so the local MP can actually raise the issue on floor of the Commons, so that perhaps the Ghanaian authorities wake up, to the problem and they begin to act on it.
So when you say local MPs, you're talking about the UK, and so you are talking to the MPs there,
yes,
not your MPs back in Ghana.
No, so basically, a foreigner is advising me to contact their MP so that their MP can raise the issue on floor of Parliament in the Commons, so that perhaps the Ghanaian authority will wake up and then begin to act. And some of the students come to me personally. I say to them, it's very hard. In terms of food and other things, we can support a bit, which we have been doing over the period. But you see, Samson, the government of the situation is that even with the 20 hours that opportunity that is given to students to study here, to work here, most students cannot even get that 20 hours to be able to work with. Basically because most of the companies want to outsource people who are permanent workers, who are consistent in terms of delivering. So they don't want a student that will come and work for just 20 hours for a week, and then they will now be looking for somebody else to take over. So if you apply, you are likely to be rejected because they want somebody who had a permanent residency or has some sort of a sponsorship that is able to. So even with the 20 hours, take for instance the PhD students, those of us who are PhD candidates. For instance, the PhD, you are supposed to spend a minimum of 5 hours behind the computer and the book every blessed day. That is the only way you can meet the criteria and the objective of successfully defending your thesis and writing the thesis all along. As I speak to you, and I was in your office last week, I'm in Obuasi now. I have to travel and come here. It requires money for all that to be able to do the research and be able to collect the data. So at the end of the day, you will not even have the opportunity to do the 20 hours. So the situation is really precarious. And of course, the previous government has taken some, step. As you have asked the question, we were told that the fees have been paid for a significant amount of students. Of course, there are a few students who have also gotten in touch with us to say their fees have not been paid. I know for sure that the problem is quite convoluted when it comes to the master's students, because a lot more of them have not had their fees paid. The same way the 2 month stipend, a lot of them did not have the 2 months. So it's quite a very, very fluid situation.
So your requests to the president for immediate intervention are 4. First, settle outstanding stipend and tuition fee arrears. 2, review administrative processes to ensure timely disbursement of funds. 3, provide emergency relief for students at risk of eviction and unable to meet their basic needs. And 4, renegotiate cancelled agreements with universities to restore lost opportunities. Now we are opening the Zoom participation for those of you who are Ghanaian students studying abroad on the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat. You can also join us and share with us what is going on and what you think ought to happen. So, Prince, I suppose this petition has been lodged at the presidency, correct?
Yes. So I have personally forwarded this petition to the chief of staff, and so I am very much aware that for now he's aware of this petition, and also thanks to you for publishing
this was
it.
Last week.
That was yes, before. Immediately after I met you, I've sent it through to him.
Okay.
And so I'm guessing that at the moment he should be able to have a fair idea about the situation and what's going on. I also think that some other few people closer to the president probably have got hands on them, because I saw some people sending me private messages about it and saying that, oh, we've seen a petition.
And we know that they will be watching and listening to this show today and tomorrow as well. And we're praying that help comes as quickly as possible. Now, so you can join us and also share with us wherever you are coming from. And I'm going to bring on the policies and laws. Let's begin with the, the promises that the NPP made about this area, what it intended to do. I'm going to project it on the television so that you see. It was very straightforward and brief as to what they wanted to do. So on education, opportunities, you will read on scholarships. The promise was A, integrate scholarship databases across all the public sector institutions managing such schemes to ensure full visibility. B, expand eligibility for the student loan scheme to include all post-secondary students, including certificate and diploma programs. And C, prioritize and direct a significant portion of national scholarship schemes towards training and skills development in STEM. Implement in full the centralized application processing service, that is CAPS, for tertiary institutions, where you apply once and pay once. Let's go to the NDC, what they they promised to do, and hopefully that they are pursuing that now. They said they will prohibit the award of scholarships to government officials and politically exposed persons. They will streamline and realign scholarships across multiple sectors to do away with the current uncoordinated regime. 3, align scholarships with our national development priorities. 4, eliminate political patronage, corruption, cronyism, and nepotism in the award of government scholarships. And 5, ensure that government scholarships are reserved for the vulnerable and marginalized on the principle of meritocracy, equity, and inclusivity. This is what the NDC promised they will do. Now, I'm sure that you guys have seen on social media since we announced that we were going to speak around this area, and I'll share the laws around the area shortly to close. You would have seen some of the messages that came in, and some are asking, but you know that getting a scholarship from the Scholarship Secretariat, you are likely to go through these difficulties. So why didn't you cushion yourself? Maybe I should put that question to which one of you? Any one of you can take that question.
Okay, Samson, when it comes to we cushion ourselves, I think our family members can be of help, but to what extent can they help us? Some of us are getting little support from our family members, but it's not enough, because we can all testify to the currency the cedi, and then the pounds. So no amount of cedi can be changed into pounds for us to pay our fees or to take care of us. So they are helping though, but it's not enough for us. So for pushing of ourselves, we did, but it's not enough. Yeah.
So it's being suggested on these platforms. I know some of the comments are a bit harsh, but it's like you were going into a contract and you knew that you face some of these problems.
Yes, Samson, if I can come in.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, we all are aware there are difficulties with contracts, but that is why we have remediation, and that is why we have support systems. And so we wouldn't go so much into the cushioning because, rightly so, as Enitina has said, to what extent are you able to cushion yourself for a 4, 5 year or 3 year PhD program? So certainly support is needed, and that is our humble appeal to the government to come to the aid of students.
Right.
This is the human resource of the nation.
And when Lord Apre was speaking about the first tranche of money that came in after Bawumia gave the response at his press conference that he was going to do something, because I asked him a direct question. I didn't ask him what he was going to do if he won. I asked him what he was going to do immediately. And he promised that he knew about it and they were doing something, and so they got some money and helped to pay some of the fees. Now, we got some students complaining that it appears that there was a certain way of selecting those who will benefit from that kind of payment. So you hear the NDC talk about political patronage and cronyism. So on social media, you hear people ask the question, how do some people get some of these scholarships? Through very, dodgy means. Some talk about the scholarships being sold.
Okay, Samson, can I come in here?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I mean, we hear some of those comments. I read a lot of those comments from your page. But as far as I am concerned, and at least I know Prince and other few people, I had to apply with my admission letter, wrote an aptitude test. An interview was conducted by one Professor Prempe, University of Brunel, one Professor David Sapon. He used to be at the University of Brunel, but he's now at the University of Aston. Aston. And then there was another professor from UCC, University of Cape Coast. I've forgotten his name. And then the registrar himself. So that was the process. And of course, I was a lecturer at Methodist University College, for about 7-8 years. And so I thought I had to come and upgrade myself, come back to be able to,
and the law, which I'll share shortly, actually provides for that, to train faculty. So those of you fresh, teachers or faculty of the various universities and so on, you get the opportunity of upgrading, you acquire more knowledge so that you come and assist the country with that. So that's the route by which you went.
So like I said, I taught for 7-8 years.
Right.
At Methodist University before coming here for this. I mean, some of my past students, I'm sure probably could call in if they are listening.
Right.
They will tell you. Okay. And so with the selling of the scholarship, that's like I said, people say those things, they write those things, but I'm sure nobody has been able to come out with evidence, hardcore evidence too. So we just treat it as.
Something, if I may come in.
We had the Fourth Estate, investigative journalism work that's, revealed how there was some, if you like, racketeering in the system. People who are deserving don't get. And people have also asked some questions. What courses some of the people getting the scholarships are doing, courses that are available locally, but people are accessing them abroad. Yes, you wanted to say something earlier.
Yes, like what you just said now, Samson, basically that's what I was going to say. For instance, you have a first view of what I'm researching into. As an area that is quite highly problematic now, the artisanal small-scale gold mining area. it was the same reasons why I got a scholarship anyway, because they thought after I developed the proposal, the secretariat thought that this proposal is quite very good and it will help the country. And so I went through the process and then I got the scholarship. I don't even know the names of the people in the secretariat that much. I don't know, nobody has ever taken a dime from me. So really, I get to hear these things that people talk about it. It's a widespread perception.
That's not to discount that these things happen, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because we have heard of situations where people's names have been used falsely as well.
Absolutely. So it is not to say that they don't happen, but it looks like there's that widespread perception and generalization that anybody that is given a scholarship actually bought it of a sort. I mean,
so perhaps we'll have to make another time. Today, the focus is about the circumstances that you guys find yourselves in, not just the four of you on the show today, but the very many Ghanaian students abroad under the scholarships secretariat who are suffering this, untenable circumstances. I'm taking about 30 seconds from each one of you, a word to the, as it were, those at the helm and policymakers about your petition. 30 seconds each before I share the law on regarding this thing. Yes, quick. Start with you, Bansa.
Yes, so our appeal is that the government, obviously governance is a continuum, and this is a statutory debt that the current government, we do appreciate the fact that they are fairly new in government. They are still putting together their structure to be able to govern. And so it will be very unfair for anybody to be able to say that, oh, these people, they are not trying to respond to us. Our concern is that we are drawing their attention to the problem that is already transitioning through to them. They should be able to, find a way to come around it and then make sure that they are able to address it and then ensure that there's a level playing field, like they captured in the manifesto, for instance, for everyone that actually applies for the scholarship or trying to study and help the country.
Thank you. Let's go to Lord Apre. Yes, 30 seconds, please.
Yeah, I think that's basically what Prince has said. I mean, we appreciate that the government just came into power, and so it won't be fair on us to, demonstrate or whatever, but then we are only appealing to them to come to our aid. I mean, because the situation is very, very bad, and so we are only appealing to them that they should come to our aid. That's all I'll say for now.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to Kwejo Owusu Afrifa.
Yes, thank you, Samson. So I'll join hands with House and Prince. It is a humble appeal we're making to the current government that please come Ghanaians stating on the goodwill of the government of Ghana.
Thank you. Ernestina.
Samson, I think we've said it all. So we are just to come to our aid because our situation is very critical. That is all I can say for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, let's read from the law that's, on the basis of which these scholarships are being awarded. The Ghana Education Trust Fund, that's the biggest way. Act 2000 as amended. Establishment of the fund. There is established by this act the Ghana Education Trust Fund. And here are the objects of the fund, or the objectives. 1, the object of the fund is to provide finance to supplement the provisions of education at all levels by the government. 2, by the government. 2, for the purpose of attaining the object, the monies from the fund are to be expended as follows. A, to provide financial support to the agencies and institutions under the Ministry of Education through the Ministry for the development and maintenance of essential academic facilities and infrastructure in public educational institutions, particularly in tertiary institutions. So if you see Get Fund doing all the things around. B, to provide, let's go to B. B, to provide supplementary funding to the Scholarship Secretariat for the grant of scholarships to gifted but needy students for studies in second cycle and accredited tertiary institutions in Ghana. Some have asked that question, that it shouldn't go beyond foreign, but there's a justification that's been made for it. C, to contribute monies from the fund towards the operation of student loan scheme for students in accredited tertiary institutions through loan scheme mechanisms and agencies approved by the minister. And if you go to the Scholarship Secretariat, you will also see that various other nations help us to get some of these provisions of scholarship, to provide through the National Council of Tertiary Education grants to tertiary institutions to train brilliant students as members of faculties and to undertake research and other academic programs of relevance to national development. There's a lot more. I will invite you to go to the Scholarship Secretariat website and read more about particularly the foreign scholarships. But this is a petition and this is a cry for help for Ghanaian students who are abroad that we have chosen to pay for their studies. They have rent, they have stipends that have not been paid, some of them in arrears for over 20 months. How do we expect them to survive? Their tuition fees are not being paid, and so they risk losing their studentship. And once they lose it, they will also be, as it were, thrown out of those countries. This is the law. It's your legal light. It is your help law. Have a good afternoon.